Welcome to Southern Perspective, Episode 4, a debrief with context of South Glengarry's October 14, 2025 Council meeting. Welcome, Mayor McDonald.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
The Agricultural Zoning Amendment Project, Farmland. Council approved zoning amendments that reduced minimum lot sizes but prohibited new residential development on retained farmland.
Yes.
So this approach aligns with provincial and county policies while giving landowners flexibilities for severances. My question would be, how does council strike a balance between protecting farmland and accommodating landowners' requests for severances in this area?
Okay, these two specific files were very similar. It's that postage stamp for flagpole development. So they take the laneway and the property or a little bit more. Our postage stamp is just taking a corner of it.
Okay.
The way it's protecting the farmland is it keeps prime ag land away from the home. So if there's an old farm property and the home's not being used, the home gets severed, thus making another house available to the community.
Okay.
And then the farmland is protected via the severance. So that's how we keep that balance in this situation.
Has there been a lot of requests for severance lately, or?
Well, these were 2 and probably 4 to 6 this year. So there's not a ton, but it's nice that whenever there's a farm property with a home on it, that if the home's not in productive use,
yeah,
that we can sever it off and put it back into the market, or the inventory, as realtors would say.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And I suppose that this is going to be, it might become more, given the fact that there's a bylaw in place, a zoning amendment, then this will help accommodate this, right?
Yes.
Much easier.
Yes, it makes it simple.
So the Monarch Habitat Pilot Project was debated. The Environment Committee proposed creating a monarch butterfly habitats on township-owned lands. While some councillors supported seeking grants, others questioned staff time and cost. So what do you think the role of South Glengarry should play in sort of biodiversity initiatives like this, and how do you balance them against these municipal priorities, given that some sort of raise concerns?
Yes, and I think that's the financial and human resource lens versus the environmental lens, which are always kind of at issue, right? Like, the environment does cost money now. My personal stance is always the best investment is in the environment because it takes care of us. The councillor or councillors who spoke kind of opposed to it were saying, why send a staff to this particular meeting, have to do all this research when we can better spend our money elsewhere. A few of the spots where we're looking were along the railway. I mentioned at our parks, because it's instead of cutting them, make some of them passive parks. So I'm trying to think that could work out well, but we did get permission to do it from council, or we gave permission to do it, and we're going to investigate locations, and we'll see the cost from there. South Dundas had a lovely way to do it along their Morrisburg Park there on the waterfront. So it's being done locally. It just really depends if we want to spend the time and the resources. And the time is probably the thing that councillor was mentioning, because it does take people's time to do these things.
Of course. So there was investment in maintenance equipment. You approved $117,750 for attachment to a township's wheeled excavator. Yep. So how do these equipment investments improve service deliveries for residents, and what's a long-term impact, on investments like this?
Yeah, as we see tenders come in, they're generally higher than we imagine. So if we have any time for our own staff to do it, it actually does save the taxpayers money. We've done a culvert 2 or 3 years ago, where I think we probably saved $80,000 compared to a tender by doing it in-house. So these attachments allow us to do more of those things. For example, is one of our bridges, and we just received a picture last night from the bridge crew, is they did the riparian section, some slope restoration, and it was with that wheeled excavator. So it just shows it's one more thing that we can do ourselves.
Okay. So, and it does save some cost, because some of these tenders are coming in a little higher than what it would cost a township.
Yes, yeah, there are things that are specialized, like we don't do tree cutting on a large scale, but small things, and also kind of the earthworks around we can do. We have that skill on our staff, so it's nice to give them the tools so that they can save our people money, or our citizens, we'll say.
Yeah. So 2026 is an election year.
Yes.
Right. So the 2026 election services was awarded Votes Canada Limited. So you join other municipalities in awarding the contract for internet and telephone voting to Votes Canada Limited. So, and you secured favorable pricing
Yes.
for these for these features. So, how is the new voting system going to impact the voters and the accessibility for 2026?
Okay, so we've been online and by phone for at least 19 years, since 2006, so it's not going to change a lot.
Is this a different company?
It's a different company. We went from IntelliVote to Votes. This company was used by a group that was quite satisfied. So SDG, the clerk group, as well as the City of Cornwall, got together and did the research on this, and we're all going into it, because you mentioned on savings. It's because we go in as a group.
Okay.
And it will be only online and by phone. There will be no ballot in person.
Oh, there will be no ballot in person?
No, but we will have an election site where we'll have tablets, etc., available with qualified staff. If you're uncomfortable or have any questions on how to do it, like we'll be there for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will this sort of speed up the process or make things a little more?
I don't know if it will speed it up, but it will keep it the same process, which is pretty quick. I know,
Yeah.
like 2022's election was similar. There was
Yeah.
no paper ballots as well, and I didn't hear too many complaints. There are some diehard advocates that I want a paper ballot, and
Yeah.
we're not going to satisfy those individuals. However, many people who left saying, like, I've kind of solved some of the mystery of a computer. So there's a happy story there, that people who are uncomfortable with computers come in and get some help, vote, do their civic duty, and leave feeling like a
So the
computer's
support was there to accommodate these folks.
Oh, always, yes.
And will be.
Yes, and it will be. We'll have our voter centers. Last year it was at the Legion, so it might be there again, but we'll leave that to the clerk to announce as we get closer to the...
Okay. So council opposes heritage designation for archives.
Yes.
So council voted against heritage designation of the Glengarry County Archives, citing maintenance costs, insurance concerns, and unclear implications. My question: why did council feel it was necessary to oppose the heritage designation, and explain why it's relevant, since the archive building is in Alexandria, which is North Glengarry?
Yes, yeah, no, and it's something that's probably not well known, but that building is co-owned 50%
Okay.
South Glengarry, 50% North Glengarry. So that's why we have a say in it, because as you said, it's a North Glengarry building in North Glengarry, but it's actually our building, Glengarry County's building, so to speak. We opposed it mostly on we wanted more information on specifically what was being designated as heritage.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, like if you have your trusses in your basement, modern technologies make it less expensive and sturdy. Whereas if you have to go back for those specific things, and to the time, it might be more expensive to fabricate them, and we worry multiples of dollars. So we just wanted
a clarification on
yes.
what it would be, what the specifics of the designation would be.
Yes, because we're not against keeping some of the components. We just want it to be more clear. So as much as we said no, I think there is some will of council to once it's refined, bring that back up for conversation.
Yeah, okay, because it is a nice building, and it is
a lovely building.
It's a lovely building, and and our resident archivist Alan J. McDonald is doing a phenomenal job at it.
Oh, so, yes, yeah, we're blessed to have
shout
him.
Shout out to Alan, who we want to sit in this chair too.
Yes.
Okay, so the Peanut Line trail speed bylaw was introduced. You introduced a bylaw to set maximum speeds on the Peanut Line trail. So allowing the OPP enforcement if necessary.
Yes.
So concerns were raised about about enforcement practically, but signage and mile markers were proposed as support. So how does council plan to balance regulation with realistic enforcement on the peanut? I mean,
yes.
explain to us what the peanut. Not everybody knows what the Peanut Line is, and explain to us how this is a problem.
Okay, so the Peanut Line is an old railway that runs through our entire municipality from Quebec to Cornwall. It's now a recreational trail.
Okay.
It was given back to the township when that was taken out. I have pictures of me as a kid walking on it as a railway, so it's not probably 30 years that it has not been a railway. However, we want the speed limits just so there can be enforcement. I think it was noted that it's very hard to get enforcement probably on a trail.
Yeah.
50 kilometers on the main part, 20 kilometers in and around the villages.
Okay.
The point that was raised was, why have signs when we should maybe more identify, like when it switches from, in many spots, it's base and then it goes to farm fields, so you can get a little bit of a ramp to acknowledge, bumpy spots to keep people safe, because speed limits are one thing, but like pointing out areas of concern or areas where it's in slightly less repair are of concern. And then the mile markers, just that was more of a 911 safety thing. So you can say there's an accident on mile marker 19 of the peanut line. So focusing on things that will make people safe before the policing the speeds, and that's kind of the balance that was said. So that will come at budget, and we might do both.
So is the peanut line is it also sort of a walking trail as well beside or is it just an ATV trail?
No, you can walk, you can ride your horses. Like, it is a all-purpose trail. Like,
So that was the concern, to be able to accommodate pretty much everybody to stay within a certain limit.
Yes, and farmers will use it sometimes to access fields too. So it's kind of an everything trail presently. It's we've had some big conversations on it. I don't think we've taken any great conclusion other than status quo, which is to maintain it, keep the trees from encroaching on it, and occasionally doing some surface work with gravel typically.
Okay, paramedic base lease extended. The council approved a 10-year extension lease for Cornwall for paramedic base in Lancaster's fire station, securing long-term emergency medical services.
Yes.
So what does this lease extension mean for South Glengarry emergency coverage services?
Well, we'll have an ambulance in Lancaster or around Lancaster.
Is this like a City of Cornwall?
Yes, City of Cornwall does SD&G.
Okay.
So they organize it. So the reason the lease was updated was because the term had come. I think we get a little bit more financial remuneration, but it's not really about that. It's more about having that bay in our community. And I mean, they do move based on needs, but like, that's home base. So they move from home base. So it means there's one nearby quite frequently.
Okay.
Yep. Good.
And education advocacy resolution was supported. So South Glengarry supported a resolution from the township of Archipelago.
Yeah, Archipelago.
Archipelago, okay.
Yeah.
About school delays and capacity issues in Parry Sound, signaling solidarity and community advocacy. So why is this important to South Glengarry to lend its voice to the education infrastructure in its borders?
Well, I mean, Save Charlan or SOS Glengarry. I think that it harkens back to those days. And I think the title of that one was called Mega School.
Okay.
And we had those conversations here. So Councillor Jaworski, who's on the
so this is something that's going on in Parry Sound, the same type of things of saving our schools.
Yes, and not just consolidating them.
Okay.
I think we had that conversation, like where CCVS in Cornwall was going to become the mega school, and Glengarry and Charlan were going to have to be busted. Like, everybody's going to bust that hub.
Okay.
So it's a similar thing. So Councillor Jaworski, who's very very involved in that portfolio, being education across province, really, but specifically for us.
So what's council how is council involved in this?
Oh, is it the Canadian Schools or the Rural Schools Alliance? I'm forgetting the perfect title. I apologize, Councillor Jaworski. But she's part of that on behalf of many councils of Ontario, and advocates at the province for that.
Okay.
Yeah. It was interesting. One time we went there for a thing, being OGRA, Ontario Good Roads, and at the time, Minister Lecce, who was schools, he looked up and gave Councillor Jaworski a shout out during their question period or where their reading period. I'm not as familiar with it, but he looked up and noticed her and said hi. So she's making a big difference at the provincial level. So they're listening.
Yeah, because we are, I mean, essentially all rural besides Cornwall, but everything is rural, and the reality of things is that kids need to be bussed into smaller schools. They don't, and rural does not necessarily have the same sort of culture as a city. Even Cornwall, it's not even the same thing. Whether as you even lately, I mean, kids went to school with their tractors at Charlan.
Yes,
that's
take your tractor to school day. Yeah,
bring your tractor to school day, and you don't see that in the city, and that's a thing, and that's very, very rural, and that's fine. So those are things to celebrate. So that's why I think schools are important to remain, even though smaller.
Yes,
they remain to be rural. That's important.
Especially in Glengarry, the high schools, they're so well placed. You have Charlan's in Williamstown, a village. You have the Gales or Glengarry in Alexandria. I guess it's a city or village. Or I guess Williamstown's a hamlet. It's different whenever you have, like, say, North Dundas High School. Like, it's in between Chesterville and Winchester, and Tagwa is in between, Monkland and Avonmore.
Yeah.
Like, I like that our schools are in the community. So like, why would we move them out of the community?
Yeah.
So that kind of like keep our rural schools in the right places and also keep them.
Very good. Do you have anything else to add? I mean, you said when you came in here, you said the meeting was a little shorter than the previous one, and but
Yeah,
anything else to add to our segment today?
I have nothing more to add other than the 2-day meeting. As much as the previous one was only 2 minutes of the next day, it's nice to have a 1-day meeting again. And thank you for your time here.
Good. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mayor McDonald. We're going to hopefully we'll see him after. I guess your next meeting is in a few weeks or
Yeah, I believe it's next week on Monday.
next week.
The cycle, or sorry, 2 weeks on Monday. You're right. The cycle always continues. Every 2 weeks, pretty much. Yeah.
So we're going to work hard to edit this and get this out as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and see you soon.